Many of us have heard the phrase, life is a jungle. So in the jungle, there is the lion, that's the king. But all the other animals survive. They live well. You know how to stay clear of the way of the biggest predator in the jungle. And you know how to make a way for yourself and your family. Somehow, everyone survives. Everyone lives to the best of their ability. Then we come out to the urban and rural areas where human beings live, exist, evolve, and have done so for thousands of years. Now we say it's survival of the fittest because the times are daunting. In spite of the daunting times, each person leaves home on a daily basis, determined, focused on bringing something home for the family. They know they're coming out to meet you. Yes, you. And you as well. Because you have a shop in the market. You work in a supermarket. Perhaps you are involved in some form of buying and selling. And people are going to come and patronize you. How do you treat them when they come? And that is moving very far away from our topic last week where we talked about sports as a unifying factor. So we do know and admit and understand that we're a gigantic country. The giant of Africa, the largest African country on the continent, and we boast people who have resilience, determination, finesse, etiquette, people who have been raised, who come out on a daily to support and enable one another. What is changing at this time? Because we're moving from the unifying force, we're coming now to where we are today, talk about shortchanging Nigerians. It's us who are doing it to one another. And because it bothers us, and we know it bothers many people, the hue and the cry has been coming from the east, the north, the west, and the south. And that's why we can do. We don't focus on rumors. We bring our issues to the center table so that experts, those who have tackled issues such as this before, can come to our table and give us expert solutions just like today. That's our topic, shortchanging Nigerians. On which side do you fall? Are you among those who want to enable and support? Or are you among those who is thinking of me, me, me first all the time? We are saying, think Nigerian. That way, everyone is enabled and supported. My name is Thelma Ubazi, and this is Weekend Deal. Our program, as you know, is interactive. We urge you to be a part. In life, there are rules of engagement. Or do we forget them? Or is it because the lines are not mapped out in the sand or in concrete? We do know what is patriotic. We do understand what isn't. Many times we talk big. We are patriots. We love our country. We are great people. Are we walking our talk? It's not enough to even walk our talk. Our walk must change the existing narrative. As our background feature sets the tone of our conversation today, we ask you to be a part of it. Let it delve deep into your inner recesses, and then you join us for our conversation over there. Our guests are already in the house. We'll be joining them shortly. Stay with us.
Recently, Nigerians have been experiencing challenging times due to hike in prices of goods and services. This is the result of the scorching inflation on the masses. Everyone seems to be feeling the bite. No individual or company wants to bear the pain alone.
That money I put on this morning is not enough to buy provision. Which kind of wallet be this? It's been cannot kill me. Oh. How much is my salary? I give 25,000. Now, try to buy garri. You are telling me it's not enough.
Excessive inflationary rate could also be linked to the high cost of fuel due to subsidy removal. Farmers hike the sales of their products, relating it to high cost of transporting the goods to the market. Landlords increase rentage, transport fare also alarming, all on the masses.
My landlord just give me quick notice so I'm looking for house. We were paying 300 before. Equally, they moved it to 400. Now he's telling me he wants to renovate, I should pay 1 million. But I'm telling him I don't have 1 million. He said since I don't have 1 million, I should look for house. And what about paid reimbursement for me to look for? So hence I'm looking for you. I need an apartment right now. I don't want a very big budget because I'm a civil servant.
The truth of the matter is that the average Nigerian, without missing words, is very, very greedy. I personally believe that goods that are imported, good, they can be affected with the fall of the naira. But locally produced goods, for instance, foodstuff, garri, locally produced rice, beans, yam, they are not supposed to be affected in that way. But the way it is now, everything has gone up to the extent that they are already beyond the reach of the common man. And we are just undoing ourselves.
A product of the myopic mind. That is the reason behind shortchanging. You do me yesterday, I want to do you today. And so the chain goes round.
I don't see it as shortchanging. To me, I see it as a means of survival. The country is hard, the economy is hard. If, for example, I produce ugu, I'm a farmer, and my produce is ugu, that's what I farm, that's what I produce, that's my only source of income. And now that you are selling a bag of rice for 80,000, I need to buy a bag of rice as well. I won't sell my ugu for 50 naira just to please you, no. I'll sell it for 200 naira because I need to meet up.
The question is this: can the government control prices of goods and services? Of course they can, but they cannot in the case of Nigeria. Because in the first place, no one has a responsibility any longer to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And so even the manufacturing sector, great multinationals are leaving the country. Why? Because the cost of doing business in Nigeria is becoming too high. And so when the cost of production is too high, you cannot in any way control the outcome of my products. And so I would want to sell at the price I can sell to recoup my investment.
Stakeholders are of the opinion that government needs to constitute a committee with persons of proven records to manage, regulate prices, check quantity, quality and value of goods in the country to curb cheating or shortchanging, which many refer to means of survival.
The role of government in times of recession is to have a workable, possible economic team who should go back to the drawing board, putting all factors together and making sure that recommendations are the ideas that will be achievable.
In all, strengthening of relevant institutions saddled with such responsibilities will go a long way of making the country work better.
You're watching Weekend Deal. It's another fantastic time for you to keep our company on the show. We're talking about you and how our activities or inactivity will impact positively or negatively on each one of us in Nigeria. And that's why we are here, and that's why we have experts in the house who enrich and nurture our conversation today so that perhaps we can all perform better. We're talking about shortchanging Nigerians, so let's get to meet our first guest. We will see his profile, the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Agency, Dr. Adamu Abdullahi. Let's see his profile. welcome to Weekend Deal.
Thank you very much. A pleasure being here.
Great to have you with us. And then we have another guest. We told you about him earlier, but it's time to see his profile. Talking about the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Mike Omeri. Welcome to Weekend Deal, Dr. Omeri.
Thank you, and good morning.
It's like you've hardly changed because you are aging backwards. There's a secret that you will share with us on the show today.
Thank God for
because we want to grow.
Thank God for the gifts of life and the choices we make.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Have you heard about shrinkflation?
Yeah, sure. Things are going on in our markets. Markets have been distorted. And it has been a big struggle. But the Lord is our strength.
Okay. Well, Fatima didn't just hear. She decided to do some research about it so that Nigerians can be further enlightened. So we'll see what Fatima found out, and then we'll come back to the studio. Fatima, shrinkflation, share more.
None of this. These are the 17. These two. These biscuits.
What about it? That's reduced. Before it used to be much than this.
Oh, you're right. You're not getting small. It's not just the quantity, the size of each biscuit set.
That is shrinkflation. The practice of keeping the price of a product the same or even increasing it while shrinking its size is well described as shrinkflation. The British economist Peter Malgreen is often credited with coining shrinkflation. Today, not only that it is trending, but almost everyone has had a first-hand experience of it.
The way all the companies and other food sellers and other dealers on food stuff in Nigeria, in such a way they rise the price and the quantity also has totally reduced. This is not fair at all.
They reduce the size of the foods, they reduce sugar, the size of sugar, they reduce the size of Maggi, every mudu of gari, they reduce the size, but the price is going up every day, every minute. So I don't know why the prices are going up and the food item is small, the quantity is small. So I'm not happy. And those foods that we produce here, we don't import them. It's here that we produce. Gari, we produce gari here. Palm oil, we produce here. Ogbono, we produce. Egusi, we produce. But I see no reason why food items they are high every day, every minute.
It is not fair. But also, if you listen to some of, let me say, the traders, if you hear from their own point of view, you may maybe at a point you may begin to reason with them. Also, they're also complaining that where they are buying from, the prices are high. So definitely you don't expect them to sell at same price they bought from. You understand? Definitely it will be higher.
Everything, there is no need of mentioning this or that and that. The inflation is terrible.
During this time, we Nigerians have experienced a lot of reduction in quality and increase in price. The commodity we are buying now, biscuits, chin-chin, all those commodity goods that they normally package, the quantity inside them these days has been reduced drastically, and the price of that commodity is more than what they are selling it before, which is very, very bad.
Shrinkflation has reached ridiculous heights lately, affecting many packaged food items and even fast food orders, toilet papers and cleaning supplies. In some cases, products have shrunk by 25%. Products are now much less. Inflation and the cost of production is often set up as a reason for this, leaving the consumers to bear the burden of counting their regular products in reduced sizes. Is this the only way the manufacturers can cope with the inflation? Must the end users always bear the brunt?
People are suffering seriously. So I think from my own view, government should look at it carefully and bring a solution like a price control, or should provide a solution to the problem. I know government can do that.
Everybody was hiding under things is difficult. Dollar have increased, but the problem we are having in our country is that we Nigerians, we didn't love our country. We didn't love our country. If we can love our country, we love ourselves, one another. This country will be the best in the whole world, because what we need to survive, the Lord already have given it to us.
One way to beat shrinkflation is to simply stay aware of the pricing of the goods you tend to buy. Switch to alternatives to suit your wallet. That is also the sure way to send a message to manufacturers that shrinkflation should not be here to stay.
Very engaging there, Fatima. Well researched. Let me start talking with Dr. Abdullahi. She asked us a pertinent question there. She said, must the customer always bear the brunt? And at the end, she asked us to seek alternatives so that the manufacturers will come to fully comprehend the negative impact some of their practices are having. You sit at the helm of an organization that can help us expand our knowledge of what is happening and perhaps a way forward. Let's take off with the FCCPC. Are you aware of what's happening with Nigerians in terms of shrinkflation and other practices?
In Fatima's report, what really caught my attention was the man that was saying Nigerians, we don't love ourselves. And by and large, that's the major issue. Because any market you go to nowadays, you find market associations. Egg sellers have an association, yam sellers have an association. If you, as a yam farmer, take the trouble of bringing your yam all the way from Benue to Wuse Market to come and sell it, an association would insist that you are not a member of that association, so you cannot sell your goods in that market. You have to sell to them, of course, at a lower price, and of course they then inflate the price and sell. In essence, they are fixing prices, which means they are forming themselves into a cartel, which is against the law. Essentially, this is what we discovered, because we went ahead and formed a fair food pricing committee at our own level, even though there is one in the ministry that we are already part of. But we did our own investigations, and we found out that what is actually happening is the fact that it now costs so much from even the farming of the goods itself. The inputs are very expensive. I'm a farmer, so I'm talking from my own experience. About 3 years ago, I decided to go into rice farming. Somewhere along the way...
What drove you to do that?
Fact that instead of buying, and I have a lot of family behind me, yes, and then the people in the village, you want to feed them. And you want to also, one way or the other, generate employment, so that instead of people coming to your house to just come and collect money, you give them something to do.
Something to engage them.
Exactly. So somewhere along the way, there was an increase in fuel prices. Most people abandoned their farms because they just couldn't afford to buy the petrol needed to power the pumps to water their farms. And it was a big struggle in that most of these farms went dry, and that's how they lost those crops for that year. So these policy changes really affect the way people operate. But then since the advent of this administration, we have seen how it has tried in the area of especially food security, in the sense that these inputs we are talking about, they have decided to look at it another way altogether, rather than go to KB, for instance, and give farmers loans. They rather give them the inputs that they need, even at that too, there are issues with Nigerians. We don't love ourselves.
Okay,
you
hold
go
it
and buy fertilizer at a small rates from the government, you find that fertilizer in the market at exorbitant rates.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Abdullahi. Dr. Mary, please jump in to this conversation. You are a Nigerian. You know Nigeria and Nigerians. I know earlier we were just chatting about the cost of eating healthy. It may seem to be cheaper at this time to eat in an unhealthy way, because eating right may not be affordable to many Nigerians. But tell us again, first off, when we say we often bandy about we're patriots. I'm a patriot. Nigerian is a patriot. I'm a patriot. With what Dr. Abdullahi has, he has opened the door to some practices that has enriched our discourse. Would you say that Nigerians truly are patriots, or majority of us?
Well, I would say that a lot of Nigerians at the lower rung of society are patriotic. They are patriotic in the sense that they don't have options. They don't have media. The few who are very unpatriotic, who engage in underhand practices, have media, have access to wealth, they are the ones that society sees. They are the ones that everybody sees. So these few represent the majority. And they tell us, they exhibit all manner of tendencies that are not consistent with what the average man in the village wants to see. The man in the village, or that at the wrong of society, has totally surrendered. He is waiting for government, he is waiting for opportunities, he hopes. And what is he waiting for from government? To have light, to have access to education for his children, to have access to medical services, and so forth and so on. If you can take some of these problems out of it, and in fact I can see it gradually affecting the so-called middle class, which is almost extinct now.
Some would say it's already extinct.
So these are the problems when you go. Can we take this burden off? If you take this burden off, you will see a reduction in the tendency to engage in sharp practices in order to find means or ways of survival outside the income, the designated appropriate income. So, but again,
let me just chip in here. You know, we all are facing the challenges.
Yes.
It's not just impacting lower, middle, or the elites. Everyone is feeling it, perhaps at different levels. Is there any justification? Because doing things the wrong way or engaging or encouraging sharp practices, it doesn't change the fact that these challenges are there.
In agreeing with you, for the first time in a long shot in this country, the elites, the masses, everybody share one complaint. We are complaining about the same thing, and that is dangerous, because it means it means the entire opportunities are stultified by one issue of either growth or policy and so forth and so on, or even in indolence. Because we are no longer sure what we can do to survive, and if we are able to do something, can someone pay for it? And these difficulties are not justification for us to engage in wrongdoings. Get me, don't get me up. It is not justification at all. It is, instead, it will spur us into creating options. Affordable options without compromising quality. Because talking about food, must I go and buy imported yam when there is substitute? I have yam from my village. Must I go and buy imported spinach, cabbage, broccoli, and so forth and so on, when we can grow them?
Now, even if you go to the markets now, they'll tell you dollars has risen, dollars has gone up. I don't know how dollars affects tomato, pepper, rice, and other things. But let me, Dr. Abdullah, just come in here. At different times in our conversation, we have mentioned government and governance, and you are right there, the center. We know that there are policies and laws that, earlier when I talked about rules of engagement, I've talked about being in the jungle. I've talked about survival of the fittest. Every which way I can utilize to bring understanding, more understanding to us. But there are laws and policies that should limit or completely discontinue sharp practices. Where are we with those? Talking about the FCCPC. Are your hands and eyes on deck everywhere? How are you going to limit, stop, negate what is happening in the country now?
Okay, what we have is more or less a deregulated economy. In a deregulated economy, you don't fix prices. You don't tell people at what price to sell their goods because you don't know what inputs went into the production or farming of those goods. But then one of the mistakes we made when we first of all regulated our economy was that we didn't have any anti-competition agency. So our people were left at the mercy of these manufacturers and service providers who, of course, are in business just to make money. They are not in business to be Father Christmas or to help others. They are there just so that they will make money. That's the major thing they want to achieve. But then there have to be set rules in how you make money. So that's the essence of having a competition agency in a country. We only came into existence in 2018 by the act that established the FCCPA, and that is when we would say we really swung into action, because COVID really took 2 years out of from those 2018. But then even during COVID, you can see how the agency fought issues of price gouging, especially in the supermarkets, when you had face masks and hand sanitizers jump in a day astronomically 600%, 1000%.
But what are you doing now? What are you doing now?
What's happening now is, as these prices increase, the best you can do is to find out what are the causes of those increases. You have to have that empirical data, and that is what that committee that I told you are formed are working on. We are looking at all the variables that go into making the things very high. Of course, the issue of dollar comes in with imported goods. And then the issue of the removal of petroleum subsidy comes in with movement of goods as well as farming inputs too. And
31.7% inflation. But we'll come back to this talk, because now you've told us what you're going to do. We want to know who you'll be working with and how soon, if at all you have any control of that, will Nigerians hope to breathe a sigh of relief. Talking about the markets now, where Jennifer is talking about the banks, the incessant debit alerts. We delete too money there. If they see 10,000, they must take from it. We know them now. Jennifer, please tell us what you found.
The Nigerian banking system, overseen by the Central Bank of Nigeria, is meant to serve and protect its customers. But complaints abound. Nigerians often feel shortchanged by their banks. Many banks impose multiple and unnecessary charges, deducting from accounts at will.
There are unexplained deductions from time to time. But because of the amount involved, you really don't want to take it up, because if you try to take it up, what are the means to take it up? It's either you call the customer care, which will hold you for how long. Before you know it, the amount you will use to make the call is even more than the amount they have deducted. Or is it that you transport yourself to the bank? When you get to the bank, the queues you even meet at the bank, you are discouraged.
Before, I know they have a normal rate they deduct for bank charges and bank maintenance. They call it card maintenance. But of recent, I realized that the card maintenance is no more the card maintenance they used to deduct. The charges they deduct now is unusual. And when you go to the bank, They'll tell you they are working on it.
It's so disturbing. They have been charging me a lot, and I don't even know for what. In fact, what baffles me is about my savings account. And when people send me money, they will charge me, and I don't know for what.
With the economic hardships, every naira counts. How do hidden fees impact ordinary Nigerians?
The debit actually make one sad, because the bank, you are giving them your money in trust, and again you discover that 50 naira, 100 naira, these monies are just going. It just makes you feel sad.
It's my loss, if I can put it that way, because for me to go and make savings, I'm expecting an interest, not a deduction. But at the end of the day, it's what I get. For instance, if I keep my 10,000 naira, maybe I want to use it in 1 or 2 months. The next thing, I will not get it complete. I'll just go and see 9,950 something or 9,800. It's not good. It's not good. That means I can't get my 10,000 naira and use it as I wish.
It's affecting negatively, because once you have money in your account, before you know, they will break 1,000 naira. Before you know, that 1,000 naira, boom, it's gone. Before you know, gradually from your savings, it's eating up, and it's not an appreciative asset, so you are losing on your own, while they are making money on their own part. So it's a disadvantage to us keeping, and they are not encouraging people to keep money in the bank anymore because of things like this.
Every bank transaction incurs a charge, further straining savings and incomes. Is this fair to Nigerians?
The answer is an emphatic no. Nigerians are overburdened. Most of our commercial banks, they've derailed from their core responsibility. You are supposed to be paid money for keeping money in your bank. Most of Nigerians operate savings accounts, whereby it's like a form of an investment, and the banks are supposed to pay returns. Before now, you hear 3% per annum, 5% per annum. But if you look at it, these are profits that you are supposed to benefit from the bank. Instead of performing that role, they end up using various kind of tactics to now deduct such kind of amount. They tell you credit alert fees. I've worked in a bank and I know how it operates. I quite agree with what a lot of Nigerians are saying. Personally, I'm a victim, because when I checked my account, I have so many accounts, both savings and current. I saw a lot of charges. Some of them cannot be explained. By the time you open an account, there's a contractual form that you are being given, and you apex to it or you endorse on it if it is by electronic means. The details of these charges are not clearly spelled out. They just make you to understand that charges will be deducted, but nobody is properly regulating what is the amount that should be taken and when it should be taken.
Customer satisfaction should be paramount. Dissatisfied customers may switch banks, impacting loyalty.
Empower customers, ensure fair banking. I can't say for sure that banking is unfair, but I will say it hits real deep when you leave 10,000 somewhere, like Talatu said, and your plan is to use the money in 6 months or in 5 months. In some banks, you can never see 9.5. You are looking at 9.2. And once you even remove 1 kobo from 10K, it's no longer 10,000. It can no longer purchase that thing or make that thing actionable that you wanted to do. But Dr. Mary, please speak expansively.
Yes, thank you. And this is something I have spoken about 5-10 years ago. It's happening. And that is why I say in Nigeria, we don't operate the real banking. The definition of banking is not operational in Nigeria. Because in fact, in the reverse, I would say it's the people that are banking the Nigerian bank. Because no bank supports your idea. You have to know the executive director or the chairman or unless you know that level, you cannot just on the paper bring an idea. And I'm challenging Nigerian banks to tell me and to show. But they will give reason that they have given to this person who didn't return. They have given to the persons that you have given to are the big people making the laws in the National Assembly and other places, not the masses or the upstarts or the people who are startups that want to do something. They are committed, really committed. There is no bank for them. And just like the report says, believe me, put some money, 5,000 naira in the bank and see whether after 1 year or 2 years you will come and find that money. The bank will take everything. In fact, if you don't take time, you will come and pay credit, money that you have not, because they are taking electronic.
This is not a laugh of joy.
They say they are taking electronic something.
Remix.
They have taken card maintenance. They have taken NEPA. They have taken diesel.
Taking NEPA from your little paltry son.
Let me tell you, sometimes I didn't have money. You know, I don't have any major income except that I run a studio now.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning, you hear an alert. Bam, you take. Somebody has paid me money. You open, you see that it's debit for something they say you have done, a card maintenance or electronic maintenance fee. Me that I'm expecting money, and so I have refused to check. Anytime I see a bank alert, I don't check it. There is no need, because it's just taking the little that I still have in the bank.
Sometimes there's a card I've not used for almost like 9 months. It's amazing to see them telling me card maintenance. The card is in my bag at the bottomless part. When you put the little one naira to say, okay, that's where you go, they are still taking from it.
So there are so many charges that the customer has to pay, and this customer has no access to any banking opportunity, except that you take those. Gone are the days when people take money on their own and go to bank and say, I've come to deposit. It's not happening anymore. What you see is people who are forced to transact through the bank, and because now there is no cash in circulation, you must do electronic cash transfers. That is where we are at the moment.
Transfers.
But you cannot see somebody say, because I have finished from the market, I have some money, I want to go to the bank.
Deposit.
It's not there anymore. Only the civil servants, like you said, or other people who are in paid employment that are forced to be paid through the bank, whose monies must go through the bank, they have no option. If they had options, they will collect it so that they can buy granite by the gate.
They want to receive it by hand.
At the gate, yes.
Okay. Interesting. That's the way we go. We know that they are listening, we know that they are watching, and they are patriots themselves. So let them take it from there. Dr. Abdullahi, we were talking about shrinkflation, and we got to a point where you were saying what FCCPC has done up till now. But if I ask you just one small question before we go on our break, based on what you're doing, what ought we consumers to do at this time? While you are building the information necessary and sharing with those who will make necessary changes in laws and policies, what ought we Nigerians who consume this and those who are doing these sharp practices, what ought they to do at this time?
We don't apportion to ourselves the monopoly of knowledge.
Yes.
So therefore, any small information helps. You go to a supermarket, you go to a shelf and pick a product that you want to go and buy. When you get to the counter to pay, you find out that the price is different from what you saw on the shelf. Report to us. We'll go and investigate. You go to pick a product and the expiry date there says obviously that product has expired. Report to us. That we have the power to go and evacuate those products immediately from the shelf or from the market. So in essence, what I'm saying is lodge your complaints. Have your trust in us, because that is what we do. We have the will, we have the capacity, and we have the determination to make sure that we ensure that there is a level playing field in the markets in Nigeria, but more importantly, to make sure that you are not freezed out of the small salary or means of livelihood that you have. And that's exactly what's happening now. You have your budget of 5,000, 10,000, go to the supermarket or to the market, you want to buy things, and what is displayed is not what you get when you get to the counter, so they throw you off balance. Information is key. Give us that information. That's what we need to build whatever kind of recommendations we want to give to government. As I told you earlier, there is a ministerial committee, and even there is one at the top, which is headed by Mr. President himself. And this is to do with food security. All the ministers, or most of them really, are on that committee, And whenever such issues are brought forward, they are discussed and resolved. Have confidence in the fact that when you report, your report means something to us.
Interesting. We'll ask you after we come from the break how speedily these committees are working, because people are groaning in hunger, people are weeping and mourning, and amazingly the burden is on even that common man has 10 other common men or common women attached to that his packet that the banks are making debit alert on per second. You're watching Weekend Deal. Shortchanging Nigerians is our focus. Keep your messages coming in. It will enrich our banter here in the studio. We'll go on a break. We'll be back. Don't go away. We're talking about shortchanging Nigerians. We've been having a very enlightening discourse here in the studio, and we thank you for your messages that you keep sending in. We're going to address them. We'll read them out, and our experts here will delve in and give us more insight into how we are situating ourselves at this time, how we can do it better, and they can also forecast for the future. Now, our next package is coming from NTA Knowledge.
Rising prices of commodities brought in by inflation, the last thing you're prepared to fight is stores overcharging you for necessities. According to findings, supermarkets overcharge customers, leveraging on inflation. Some residents share their encounter with some supermarkets who overcharge customers.
You pick up an item and you go to the counter, you notice that after you've paid and you look at your receipts, it's not actually the same price that is on the item. Instead of 1,200, it could be as high as 12,000 naira. In certain cases, with certain stores, they ask me to go to the customer care with my receipts that they can't give refunds at the counter. When you go to customer care, it becomes an entirely long process that most times you just figure out 500, 700, 900, let me just forget about it. And then it ends up like that. They tell you that that's the fee. There was an error on the counter where you saw the price, and then this is the actual price. So you just have to take it like that.
And needed chocolate. When I went there, I saw 3,000 something. But when I went to pay, like the computer told the girl, I don't know, that she saw 4,000 something. I was like, since I was in a hurry, I just paid and left.
On reasons for the constant hike or changes in prices, some of the supermarkets visited explained that.
We go to markets 2 to 3 times a week. And I can tell you that what we got for a particular price today, we go the next day or the next 2 days, the price changes. And the people entering it in our system, take for instance the inventory person. The goods might come late, and at the process of entering it late, now coming back tomorrow to come and start selling, the price increment have changed. So the staff are meant to, but since it was overnight work, it takes time for the prices to be affected on the system.
Some who spoke off camera said it is not easy to change price on the shelf, but it is very easy to update prices on the computer system. Others explained that they have the right to change prices, which is usually as a result of frequent changes in prices from the manufacturers. The acting executive vice chairman of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, Adamu Ahmed Abdullahi, highlighted some of these fraudulent activities in supermarkets and the stand of the commission.
The supermarkets have this obnoxious practice nowadays of displaying a different price on the shelf, and then by the time you go to pay, you find that at the till you are charged a different price. By all means, that is not the best practice. You have been misled, and it is against the law. Whoever goes to any supermarket anywhere in Nigeria, not only Abuja, because our mandate is all over the country, and finds out that there are such practices going on, please report to us, and we give all assurances that would not fail in our duty. We have the will, we have the capacity, we have the determination. We want to find out when things go wrong. Money is not easy to come by nowadays, and we are ready at any given time to protect the interests of the consumer of products and services in this country. For a first-time offender, after you seal normally you can give a warning based on which the person will come and give you an undertaking that will be of good behavior, and agree also on this understanding that we now have over the oversight issue, that for the next 3 months we look at what they do and make corrections. But then if they become an habitual offender, then we apply the full wrath of the law.
The tradition of overcharging customers is a complex issue with multiple possible explanations, from simple mistakes to deliberate price gouging. As consumers, it is important to be aware of these practices and to speak up if we believe we are being overcharged. By staying informed and advocating for fair pricing, we can help to create a more equitable marketplace for all.
You know, we used several phrases earlier in our conversation. We talked about the rules of engagement. We talked about being your brother's keeper. I read somewhere that if you can't be your brother's keeper, don't be your brother or sister's executioner. It so happens that Dr. Abdullahi is here. You've heard of him. He's been talking on the show, but we'll come back to him. Dr. Omeri will first make a comment, on that. Some of us have first-hand experience. You said about a friend and something that happened recently.
Yes, even yesterday, apart from, I have 2 examples to give, same thing, similar situation. Somebody bought iron rod. He paid by 5 p.m. in the evening for 10 million naira, different types. The next morning he came to pick his thing. He said, since we are paying this late, in the morning we'll bring a truck. When he came in the morning, they said, no, price has changed.
Even after he had paid?
He had paid in the evening, 5 p.m. He came in the morning by 9:30 to pick. They said, no, prices have changed. Another friend of mine, I'm sure he'll be laughing if he's listening to this program, went to buy AC. He had asked people to help him buy air conditioner. So he went himself because he thought the prices they gave him weren't competitive enough. And he saw one that was 291 or 96,000 naira. He said, okay, this is the one we'll settle for. Let's go and arrange the money. Tomorrow we'll come and buy. Same thing. When he came, it was 360,000 naira in one of the stores. So it is not like somebody said in this program, if you want to replenish your stock, prices may have changed. And if you are listening to what is happening outside before you sell, you'd want to be able to repurchase stock or buy stock to, and the cost of sale, the price today may not sustain your ability to replenish your stock. That is what is happening. And why are people, adjusting prices per minute? Some of these products are not. You see, it's not just in the shops or in the markets. Speculation. There are lots of speculators around the goods that we eventually buy. So these are the ones who, if they want to pay school fees, they hear the price has changed, they just reflect it in the cost of the item they are selling. Immediately. So it goes round and round, so they can maintain a lifestyle that is fake, that is not right, that is not. Yes. So people must learn to live within their means. That is one. Two, the role of speculators, and I'm proud of Dr. Abdullahi's role and his consistent, position on issues. And you see the reaction immediately when they had to go to a store and seal it. It reverberated across, and is not helping. And there are so many other interventions that I'm aware that his commission is trying to do. And I'm not patronizing him. If he keeps that way, Nigerians trust him, there will be results. Only to create partnerships with other organizations that have spread, because it is about communicating to the people. It is about enforcing, enforcing the laws. It's about being present.
Partnerships are key.
Yes. So, and there are organizations out there that can, like the NOA that I was there, and some other, that are all over the place. You can partner with them. Even the NTA, Radio Nigeria, and all of them.
Always here. This is a partnership that is taking off in a very rich and vibrant way. Dr. Abdullahi, so speak to Dr. Mary's comments and that package you just saw. Expand further.
The issue is just raised. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, but we are just in the process of signing an MOU with the same National Orientation Agency. They have offices in 774 local governments in the country. So what they intend to do is to have like a small desk there with a laptop, even if it's in copper, youth copper we can put there to receive complaints that now come straight to our portal. We have a complaint portal that now separates complaints and sends it to different industries. So that if you lodge a complaint that has to do with AEDC, for instance, that complaint goes straight to both NERC, that the sector regulator of electricity, and also goes to AEDC, the primary source of your problem.
Yes.
And we want to do that so that we can also, our law makes it mandatory on us to have memorandum of understanding with all sector regulators, and we have been doing that. NERC, we already have one. NCC, NSC, that's Shippers Council, NCA, we are just in the process
and collaboration.
of.
How much positive impact is it having?
In the sense that we hold all our investigations together, our enforcements together. They have the core competence. We don't.
But is it
For instance,
accelerating the results we're getting?
It is, in the sense that, for instance, NCC knows what a dropped call is, technically. We don't. All we know is that you make a call and then you hear somebody else's voice, not the person that you called initially, and you are charged. Or sometimes you can't hear the other party and you are charged. So the technicalities that go around this is not our core competence, we don't know.
Yes.
Flight is delayed, for instance, by an airline, and there is a force majeure. That is, maybe it was delayed due to whether they have the ones who have that information. We don't. We don't know what caused the delay. So therefore, working together helps in that it builds capacity, it adds to our own knowledge and understanding of how all these sectors operate. That way, you know that you are doing the right thing. Issue of collaborations now, we have always been open to collaborations. In fact, if you see the number of CSOs that we have under our wings that we work together with, the last joint session we had was with Consumers International, which was also on fair food pricing. That was only on Monday this week.
Okay.
And they did a survey, a market survey on how food prices increased in this country. They have all the graphs. So that information is something that, of course, will help us in doing our own work. As I said earlier, I know things are very, very difficult. We all go to the same market. But
financially daunting.
Also,
in fact, many have become incapacitated.
We know all that, but people must exercise a lot of restraint, a lot of patience. Government is working on this thing.
Many of us now, you have our middle name is Patience.
The way things are going on, it cannot change overnight.
Okay.
There are very, very robust changes in the way Nigeria has been governed. Because this removal of subsidy, for instance, this floating of the naira of dollar value, these are things that will settle, but settle down slowly. And in the meantime, they must have a tremendous effect on the way we do things in this country. That's why, as he said, cut your coat according to your cloth, not your size this time around.
You'll be surprised. There's no fabric again.
Again, whatsoever.
Fabric of nothing to cut. Our scissors, we've left it here. There's no fabric. When we hold the scissors like this, it can't cut.
The government is coming up with all sorts of things. There is a consumer credit thing that there is a committee that's already working on under Ministry of Innovation and Digital Economy, of course. And when that comes up, it's something that will help greatly in that these small-scale industries that we need to bump up. You see what is happening to power. You see how the Minister of Power is running helter-skelter, trying to make sure that there's power all over the country and making all sorts of
people are going the extra mile
to make sure that things work.
What Nigerians want to hear.
You don't see it on ground.
I like what you listing. It's yes, okay, good. I'm told that the FCC PC hotline is on screen, so Nigerians can see that. Please reach out. There's always someone to listen to you, and accelerated work will be done to give you a feedback. Being a Nigerian myself, and as we all are, we are out there. We go to the markets, we relate with people, we have families and friends. We're all feeling it. It's very encouraging to know that our government understands what we're going through, at all levels, work is being done to ensure that relief is being brought to Nigerians. We know of many incentives that are out there, but we are asking for the work to be accelerated so that Nigerians can see the results in the shortest possible time. Because we've been talking quite a bit, they want to know now, when, you're talking, how. And that's how this iPad, is
shaking.
They are coming in. We like your messages. When you reach us, tell us your name and where you are reaching us from. Sometimes when you're specific, the response can be more impactful. Okay, this program is very encouraging. Thank you, NTA. I'm from Ozoro in Isoko North. Thank you for the issue you're addressing and how it's being done. In Delta State, we're feeling it in the market, in the shops, and in the supermarket. And we thank you for what you're doing. We need to know your name, all right? Thank you. And Musa, let the federal government take action on the banks. The charges are too much. Musa, where are you reaching us from? Much ado about shortchanging Nigerians. Discussants should also look into multiple taxation and revenue collection agencies. Their charges are simply ridiculous. When you don't apply for ATM, you will see your bank telling you they are taking card charges.
So this is what we're saying. And this issue of multiple taxation, especially in the cities, I'm not sure they even are able to implement it outside, the major cities. I was telling somebody that one day you come and see me rolling my house if there is any way to go back to my village. Because the agencies that want to collect taxes from you, AMAC is there, the environmental aspect of this thing is there, but they don't do the job. They don't do the job. You still see piles of dirt and you pay for it. Then the Federal Inland Revenue, Abuja Inland Revenue Service, and all these other people, they are waiting. In fact, it's so ridiculous that now they stand on the road and be chasing vehicles and chasing people up and down. It's so uncivilized, it's so backward and not correct. We need to correct those systems. People need to put on their thinking caps. The office, people giving responsibility in offices must work. There are ideas there. You don't just have to come and continue with the wrong old order. It's just like when you see people driving on the road, for instance. They leave the road, they are on the walkway, it is even a right. They chase everybody up. If you try to, they insult your mother and father and continue on the walkway.
Wow.
Meanwhile, the police, the road safety, all of them are standing by the corner. Nobody is advising. They don't have to enter people's cars. They must not arrest everybody, but they can teach people even on the road.
Not everything must result in collecting money.
Exactly. Teach people.
Sometimes
they
you can lead by good
park just
example.
by the bend when you are supposed to move, go distance from the bend to avoid accidents and congestion by the corner. The police and road safety, you see them, they are informed, sitting there watching. They are waiting for a car that they can collect money and pay tax or something. It's so all wrong.
Okay.
We must move beyond. We must move beyond punishment at all costs. We should engage in teaching our citizens, even post-driving school, post this, post that, so that
more enlightenment,
so
more
that we can have. Now coming back to commodities and so forth and so on. Sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Goods get the prices of food items get so manipulated to the extent that people are unable to feed. This is true. This is reality. I went to the market. Sometimes I go with my wife. Sometimes I go alone to do the shopping. Today, it's Saturday. I ought to be in the market now shopping, or she would go on our behalf. You find that it's unbelievable, the cost of items. And it is simply because these things are coming in cars and pickup vehicles, not from the farmers directly, from a middleman who brought to Nyanya, for instance, and sold to another middleman who brings to the market. And if you don't take time, even in the market, there is another association or middle people that will collect and say they are the ones that will share these ones. So the prices are manipulated based on all of this. So why don't we create? We have advocated for this before, and I am sure it will find home if we can create commodity exchange markets all over the place to just to eliminate the excessive role of these middlemen.
Dr. Abdullahi, what is your take on that?
At the last meeting of this committee in the ministry, there is this issue of the commodity exchange, and this thing was formed about 13, 14 years ago. It has never had a membership. So one of the recommendations we made to government is to have a membership, and this commodities exchange must swing into action immediately. Then issue of multiple taxations, Mike, is beyond just the city centers. Try to take a motor load of cattle from Yobe to Lagos and see a number of checkpoints that you go through. See a number of local governments that have agents collecting on the way. Every state you want to cross, you pay. And then plus the security agencies. That's all that doesn't help matters. In the sense that in the long run, who pays for all these charges? The consumer. These are issues that the higher committee I was talking about is addressing, because the IGP is there, of course, and he knows what his people are doing, and he gets this report, and you have seen the action that he has been taking whenever any such reports come to him, he takes immediate
But
action.
these security agencies, are they not providing some sort of security there on the road?
They are, but at the detriment of the consumer, because this issue of collecting here and there is what in the long run adds to the cost of the goods that you buy in the market.
Okay, we need to go on a break now. Somebody just asked, before we go on this break, somebody just asked about the number, FCCPC number. It is there on the screen, and it will be there until we wrap up the package today. There are many messages coming in. We will take as many as we can, and we thank you so much for taking the time to reach out so that we can enrich this conversation today, and perhaps create a more enabling environment for all Nigerians to thrive. Our third break beckons now. We'll take it, but be sure that we'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away. Well, thank you for being a part of Weekend Deal, as you always do. Today, more so because you're sending in messages with real life experiences. I'll abridge some. Don't make them too lengthy, okay? Try to summarize. Thank you, Kelvin, from Ozora in Delta State. You thank NTA. You thank our guests. You say you like the topic, but you say that two ideas you want to share with the Executive Vice Chairman. You say, one, more should be done to promote what you're doing on social media, on the television, in the print, and on radio as well. Then he goes on to say that it is not enough to report the fraudulent shops when the price of the commodity is not regulated. Are there ways that commodities can be regulated and this information shared with the public? I think that's that. We've passed the message on. Yusuf from Kaduna said, thank you so much for this program, NTA. My question is, should the supermarkets change the prices for old stock items instead of increasing their capital? This stock is old. Why change the prices when you've not gone out to shop for new things? I'll take two more and let our guests talk. Patrick Marcus is reaching us today. He says, thank you, NTA, for this very topical issue. It says, he said the fact is that what is going on in the market is not new, but it's reaching alarming proportions. He says any solution that you proffer, there must be checks and balances to follow up to ensure that they are being actualized. Because many times we prefer solutions and there's no change in the sharp practices. So I'm talking about the bank fraud. I'll just take one more and let our guests talk. Let me take a lady, Lucy. My name is Lucy Sunday Agada. I'm reaching you from Plateau States. I'm in Shendam Barracks as I watch your program. I'm a victim of this, the banks. I received an alert of 50,000 from my husband, and I transferred 15,000 each to two of my customers in Jos. I later withdrew another 15,000, and I was expecting to have 4,800 naira as my bank balance. I was surprised when I saw that one of my people I sent money to got, okay, what did you say here? Okay, you said instead of seeing 10,000, I saw 4,800 naira. From that time till now, I've been complaining, and of course, I'm writing to you today because I'm in tears and there's been no change. Let's ladies first after the men. But this is one lady, just address Lucy. Just speak to Lucy.
Well, Lucy is unfortunate. You are a victim, like many other Nigerians, fellow citizens, of these sharp practices. And if you don't take time, you may even have to spend more. But I wish we start calling out these banks. Let people know. Let's put them out there. Let people know those who are engaged in this sharp practice. Because some is just the indolence and complacency of staff. You know, some is the process issue. I'm too overwhelmed with daily assignments, so I'm not bothered about customer complaints. You know, but this should be priority in any organization.
If somebody's hard earned.
Yes, even if it is, whatever it is, the customer needed to be attended to immediately at top-notch quality, so that he can come back, so that he can advertise, so that he can solve his own problems.
Okay.
And can I add?
Yes, please. Add further comments.
The CBN has a very robust customer complaint system. That if the bank does not do what they are supposed to do on your complaint, you are free to lodge your complaint there. And despite the fact that there is a bofia in law, in practice, we still resolve complaints about banks. These are issues that should be brought to our attention, and give you our assurances. We'll try to address them, even if it is in conjunction with the CBN or the bank themselves. We normally call banks and listen to their own side and then take decisions, and normally decisions are resolved.
Okay, we will take, thank you very much for your comments. It's time for sports. We're at the peak of the program. Would you believe it's almost 8:50? Godwin, where are you? Please come on board with Sports Summit.
The champions of Africa, Cote d'Ivoire.
It is no longer news that Nigeria is in search of a new coach to tinker with the Super Eagles of Nigeria, with the expiration of the contract of Ose Pesero that was not renewed. That is the fact. Let me correct a quick impression. Ose Pesero's contract was not renewed. That's what it is. It did not work out on Nigeria. I think that should be information that we can use. Now, who takes over? Some are saying we should look inward. That means giving the job to another Nigerian coach. Some are saying let's go outside and get a man better than Ose Pesero. That's exactly what we'll be taking a look at on this edition of Sports Summit on Weekend Deal with yours truly, Godwin A. Nakna. Thank you for being part of the show. Welcome back. As I speak to you now, is updating his knowledge, joining us on Sports Summit on Weekend Deal on the network service of the NTA.
Pleasure all my brother. How are you doing now?
Dan the ball, Nigeria is looking for a coach. You're one man who has seen it all. Should we be looking beyond you?
We're learning every day when it comes to this beautiful game of ours. So when you say you know it all, believe me, you are doomed. We have to keep learning.
Dan, in my head, you are the most qualification of the contract of Ose Pesero. Would you say yes?
Still on my my second time doing my A Pro license. I will focus on that and finish, but you know, you never know. You know, if it's a sit-down discussion and that they say it's something that I need to do, but believe me, it's not what I'm thinking about right now.
Dan the ball, before we go this morning, I do remember you to be an apostle of the local-based players because you were a product. Now, if you get this job, would you give them a chance, just like you did with Stephen Keshi when we took home base to the Nations Cup? Pesero only gave one player, his name Ojo Oloreke of Eyimba Football Club, an opportunity just to be part of the team and never got to play. Would you do it differently?
Of course, as a Nigerian, a fan of the young players that are home. Of course, you know it won't sit well, but when you see a team, surging forward and making it to the finals, of course you wouldn't say much. But the only thing there is, I think we should look inward. Our league in the last 2-3 seasons, people want to believe it or not to believe it, is really growing. It's not the best league, but it is the changes are coming in gradually, and we are seeing a lot of football players, and a lot of football clubs, and a lot of chairmen who are saying, and a lot of fans who are saying positive things about it. But the league is growing, and if players are given chances in the national team, then definitely it will justify why the league is growing. So for the next manager that will come, we hope he does that. But at the same time, if you, and I keep repeating it, if you are given a year or 2-year contract, of course you will be looking at ready-made players that are playing in Europe to win your games.
And we can't go without doing this. Nigerians will want to find out the name, the bull, precisely.
That name came from Clemens Westhoff. I remember the name came up in Otafam when we were in a camp, and I remember that game. It was 2 games back to back, and JJ Okocha, that was his first spell with the team, and we were on the bench with JJ, and then the training was going on, and then Westhoff sent in Jay. That was the first time he saw JJ trained. JJ went there, and JJ was like being JJ, of course, sexy and silky as usual. And then he looked at me and he said, "Go in and bully them the way you like to bully people."
May God bless Clement Westhoff. He's aging graciously. That was a man who believed that in Nigeria, who made Nigeria. But subsequent coaches are not paying attention to that, apart from Stephen Keshi that did it in 2013. Dan Debola Mokati, thank you for being part of the show Sports Summit on Weekend.
Pleasure, my brother. Remain blessed and keep making Nigeria proud.
That's about the size of the show. Thank you for staying with us. We just had a conversation with Daniel Amokati, the bull, like we used to call him. My name is Godwin Enakina. Thank you for being part of the show. Keep praying for Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Many thanks, Godwin. Let's come back to our conversation here in the studio. Dr. Abdullahi, give us your closing thoughts.
We have to exercise a lot of restraint. Things are bad in this country, we all know, and we are going through difficult times. But then it's just temporary. I'm very, very positive about that because I know the efforts that government are putting into bringing these prices of both food and commodities down. That's my
okay. Thank you, Dr. Abdullahi, Executive Vice Chairman and CEO, Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. And we had your number there for a number of minutes so that Nigerians could familiarize themselves with it and reach out when necessary. Dr. Mary.
Well, first, let me commend the President for the steps he has taken recently with NEPA, regards to NEPA, or Power Holding Company and so forth. The directive he gave for the auditing and possibly cessation of relationship with all these electricity development companies in the country is very good. They are not living up to expectations. We have not moved any step forward as far as the distribution of electricity is concerned. And secondly, I want to also say that there is hope. Nigeria can make it. Nigeria is a possibility. Nigeria is not a potential. It is a possibility for all of us. And it takes courage, it takes patience, it takes determination, it takes conviction that, look, let me try my hands on something and see the result. And with patience and perseverance, we are able to get out of this situation. I want to thank NTA. I love this, your studio. Since you moved here, it's the first time I'm here. And I think the current DG and staff are trying to live up to expectations. Do well to take it to the next level, because there are things to achieve, to do with NTA that I'm sure if you bend down a little bit on the hands on the turtle, you will get there. I mean, on the steering, we'll get there.
Yes, thank you. You might just know, Nigerians, that I'm sitting amidst two veterans, two NTA veterans. They were here. These are what we say, people that they came ahead of us. They opened the door for broadcasters and broadcasting in Nigeria, especially utilizing the platform of the NTA. It's an honor and a privilege to be in your midst today. I have learned we are the better for it. Nigeria indeed is the better for it. And thank you for commending our Director General and the staff of NTA. The sets, the way we work, you know, and everything we're doing to ensure that we put Nigerians and Nigeria front and center. It indeed is a privilege and an honor. I will take your advice and continue to prefer it to Nigerians, continuing tomorrow on the program when we'll continue our talk again about shortchanging Nigerians. Not one person can do it alone. It will be all hands on deck, working assiduously for the growth and development of our country. Let's walk our talk. Don't just walk what you say. Let your walk and your talk change the narrative first in your environment, in your community, and it enters the later society. God bless Nigeria. We often hold hands here. Would you be willing to show that we are one great country and we always work together?